Hey, shalom, 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 brothers and sisters. Welcome to an early morning and very brief edition of Maccabees TV. It's your brother, Priest Daniela, Alliance of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. So let's get right down to it. I'm not going to wait for brothers and sisters to come up in the house. So we've been watching over the last couple of days all the back and forth on social media, all the attention and the scrutiny that's been on the Israelite community over the last week or so, not a little bit less than a week, but let's just call it a week going on that now. And there's all this speculation about what is a hate group, what is hate activity, what is it, and what is it not. So since we're discussing hate activity, I'd like to report some hate activity that I came across while innocently scrolling up and down my timeline. I came across some hate activity that just doesn't seem to be getting the same amount of press that we're getting. Just doesn't seem to be getting the same amount of press that we're getting. And the fake woke community, as scared as they are, because they're cowards. Yeah, I said it. And if you think I'm talking about you, I probably am. They ain't gonna talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But we fear the Most High and the Most High only. So we'll talk about it. So since we are in the time of talking about hate activity, let us look at some hate activity that's going on right now. I'm going to share my screen. Here is what hate speech really looks like. This is what it really looks like, right? So, there was a rally in Pennsylvania for Trump supporters, right? And this was at Hershey, Pennsylvania, and it was covered by CBS News. Let's listen to what CBS News covered at this Trump rally. Let's check it out. Wait a minute. Wouldn't that be considered like a terroristic threat or not? Or no? Here's a gentleman who is a supporter of President Trump, right? And we all know that there's impeachment hearings going on right now, which, by the way, are legal according to the Constitution. So he's legally being prosecuted and possibly he'll be impeached legally. But these guys say, you know what? Even if he's legally impeached, we're willing to take up arms. I'm going to grab my 357 Magnum and I'm willing to use it against other people just to keep him in office, even though he might have legally been impeached. So when they're running around looking for terrorist activity and hate groups, how come they don't start here? Have you ever heard an Israelite stand on a corner or make a video and say something like this? Brothers and sisters, if we spoke like this, the FBI would be at your door, the ATF will be at your door in under 30 minutes. This is a fact. Let's look at this again. Let's look at this again. Let's bring it on back. So we preach hate, but this is not hate. Is he on any hate group list? Is he? I bet not. I bet not. Let's continue. Hey guys, look at Garfield. ah, so here this old soft shoe Negro right here. He's co-signing what the first dude said. This is a black dude. He's saying if Trump is removed in office, it's going to cause a civil war. He said he thinks it will become the second civil war. So now you guys going to cry? You crying about the Israelites? You going to cry about this guy? He's threatening physical violence against the government. Are you clowns in the conscious community that's crying and blubbering? Are you going to cry about this black dude? I bet you not. I bet you're not. Let's continue. Possible. That's three in a row, brothers and sisters. Three in a row. All these dudes are at a rally threatening violence against the country, all because their favorite puppet is possibly going to be impeached from office. So they're willing to shed blood over politics. None of these guys are on no hate group list. None of these guys are considered to be a terroristic threat. We go out and we teach our people to repent, to change their ways, and that God Himself, God Almighty, is going to bring judgment on this earth for the evils that every nation has done the way that He did to the Israelites. That's what we teach. Simple as that. Not that we're going to bring judgment, but God is going to bring judgment. And because we're reading out of the Bible, we're considered a hate group, but these guys can rally, threaten gun violence, and they're not a hate group. And these cowards in the conscious community have nothing to say about this. There's the definition of cowardice. That's why I don't respect these guys at all, period. And yes, I said it. That's enough of that. I think that's pretty clear, right? Let's move to the next article because I don't want to be too long here with y'all. I don't want to be too long on this. Here's an article from ABC News. And by the way, let me say this, right? Let me come back here for a second. Most of these hillbillies on this channel, right? I mean, on this video right here, most of these dudes watch Fox News. And what happens is they watch Fox News, and the talking heads on Fox News gets these guys all riled up and pumped up and in their feelings like their country is being taken away from them. And the immigrants are coming in and taking all the jobs and blah, blah, blah. But they get all riled up and they go and they wipe down their goddamn 357 Magnum and they're ready to go out and kill people, right? That's one side of the coin, being controlled by the media. The other side of the coin is the liberal media like CNN, like the New Washington Post, like the New York Times, like the Daily News, et cetera, et cetera. That's the liberal media that also stokes the flame of idiots that believe every goddamn thing that they read, like we just saw yesterday in the fake woke conscious community. Both sides are dummies. Both sides. Let's be clear. Let's go to the next tab. Next tab. ABC News, another liberal media outlet that likes to play to people's emotions, right? No blame. This is from an article that came out sometime in August of this year. No blame. It says ABC News finds 36 cases invoking Trump in connection with violence, threats, and alleged assault. So now we're seeing a pattern that people that support Trump politically are willing to even to go to blows, to arms, to violence, to push their agenda. We don't do that. And guess what? We're a hate group and they're not. Check that out. Check that out. Let's read a little bit of this article. I want to get to a particular point in it, so I don't want to belabor the point, right? It says President Donald Trump has repeatedly refused to accept any responsibility for inciting violence in American communities, dismissing critics who have pointed to his rhetoric as a potential source of inspiration for some citizens acting on even long-held beliefs of bigotry and hate. So that's very interesting because they're saying that his rhetoric, meaning what he says, incites people to violence. Well, is that what they're saying about us? So then he should be on the hate list too. I mean, he should. If ABC News is saying that his rhetoric causes people to be violent, how in the hell is it that we are considered a hate group for what we say, but he's not? How does that work? How does that work? Let's continue. I think my rhetoric brings people together, he said last week, 4 days after a 21-year-old allegedly posted an anti-immigration screed online and then allegedly opened fire at Walmart in El Paso, Texas, killing 22 people, not 6. This dude here That was a Trump supporter killed how many people? 22. And injured dozens of others. How interesting. Based on what? Rhetoric. Rhetoric. Let's continue. But a nationwide review conducted by ABC News has identified at least 36 criminal cases where Trump was invoked in direct connection with violent acts, threats of violence, or allegations of assault. In 9 cases, perpetrators hailed Trump in the midst of their immediate aftermath of physically attacking innocent victims. So they called his name while they were being violent. In another 10 cases, perpetrators cheered or defended Trump while taunting or threatening others. And in another 10 cases, Trump and his rhetoric were cited in court to explain a defendant's violent or threatening behavior. So people have actually gone to court, and when their case was presented, the reason why they said that they did what they did was because they heard the president say something. Let's continue. Went a little too far. 7 cases involved violent or threatening acts perpetrated in defiance of Trump, with many of them targeting Trump's allies in Congress. So some of these people actually target congressional members, which is what this first video is about, because the people that are trying to impeach Trump is Congress. But the vast majority of the cases, 29 of 36, reflects someone echoing presidential rhetoric, not protesting it. So these people are not just protesting because they agree with him. They're actually echoing his rhetoric. They're using his rhetoric, his talking points, as a reason to be violent. This is American, brothers and sisters, as apple pie. This thing that you see in the media is BS. How in the hell can you have an Israelite movement that's been around since the 1800s, and you rarely have ever heard of these type of cases? And the minute that you hear of one case, which is still very, very, very suspicious at best, how can it be a reflection of the movement when this is as American as apple pie? The minute the president starts saying certain things, people start being violent. This is as American as apple pie. But dummies that are influenced by the media spin it into a narrative of Israelite. I expect that from the mainstream media. This is what they do. But you calling yourself conscious and you doing that, you have to be an idiot. Let's continue. ABC News could not find a single criminal case filed in federal or state court where an act of violence or threat was made in the name of President Barack Obama or President George W. Bush. Let's continue. The 36 cases identified by ABC News are remarkable in that a link to the president is captured in court documents and police statements under the penalty of perjury or contempt. And lastly, this is the part I want to read right here. In many cases of assault or threat, charges are never filed and perpetrators are never identified. So these people that are going out doing violent acts based on rhetoric that they hear, a lot of times they're not even charged. And the perpetrators are hardly ever identified. Or the incident is never reported to authorities. And most criminal acts committed by Trump supporters or his detractors have nothing to do with the president. But in 36 cases, court records and police reports indicated some sort of link. So in 36 cases, there's a link to stuff that he says. So how can anyone come against us based on what we purportedly say, which is not even true because we don't preach violence? But let's just say that it were true. How can anybody come against us when this is as American as apple pie? So brothers and sisters, here's the deal, right? Like, we're not going to belabor this point. Like, I'm not going to do a video every day about this at this point, unless there's major breaks in the case or whatever like that. Then of course we're going to continue to spin the narrative the right way and tell the truth if the media is lying. Now, I will say one last thing on this, and I want to move on to something else. I was sent some pictures purportedly from this brother's Instagram page, right? Very interesting pictures that I got. Very interesting pictures. And the Most High has blessed, I'm not going to say me, I'm going to say us as Israelites. The Most High has blessed us with eagle eyes. You know what I mean by eagle eyes? Eagles fly very, very high, and they can look down and they can see very small things. very small things that the average animal can't see unless they're a lot closer. The Most High has blessed us with eagle eyes. The Most High has blessed us with owl's eyes because owls can see in the dark, right? They can see. And so by me looking at those Instagram posts, I saw something very interesting that suggests to me that this dude was not affiliated with no camps at all. Something very interesting that I won't bring out yet. I'm going to wait for the media to continue to spin it, and then I'm going to come with it, and I'm going to show y'all what the Most High showed me. With that being said, let's move on to another topic, because I want to pretty much get off of this, right? Brothers and sisters, for those of y'all that don't know, New York State passed a non-exemption law where basically what happened was in upstate New York, you had an outbreak of measles in upstate New York amongst a community of, I have my quotation marks up, Jewish people in upstate New York. And that's, I'm not going to say it's spearheaded, but it's set in motion what eventually became a law in New York where there's no more exemptions for vaccines. Like if your child is going to school or if your job requires it, there's no religious exemptions for vaccines. And when that happened, I had mentioned in passing in my video that was going to spread. That was going to spread. And now, brothers and sisters, it's spread over the GW Bridge, through the George Washington Bridge, through the Lincoln Tunnel, over to Jersey. And now New Jersey, surprisingly, they've had a measles outbreak. And they're going to tighten up vaccine exemptions. Ultimately, they're going to try to force everybody to get vaccinated. And interestingly enough, there is a vaccine debate coming up this Sunday at the Alhambra Ballroom here in New York City. And guess who supports vaccinating your children? You guessed it. The dark corner of the conscious community. I'm not going to say it's the conscious community because there's a lot of brothers over there that are anti-vaccination. A lot of brothers. I would say the majority of brothers and sisters that's actually on Brother Rich's channel, if not all of them, are anti-vaccine. And they consider themselves to be a part of the conscious community. So I'm not going to shit on the whole community. I'm not going to do that. But that dark corner, the ones that like to shine shoes, yeah, they want you to get your children vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Let's read this article because this is probably over the next few years coming to a state near you too. So some of you have exemptions to vaccinate your children where you haven't had to do it. That may change in your state. It's already happening up here in New York. Believe me, it's going to spread. Months after measles roared back in the United States, sickening more than 1,200 people this year, anti-vaccine activists poured into the Trenton State House on Thursday to oppose a measure that would make it harder to get exemptions from the state's mandatory childhood vaccine requirements. But it was not enough to sway the Senate Health Committee, which voted 6-4 to forward the measure to the full Senate for debate. I completely recognize your passion, your advocacy, and your belief system, said Senator Joseph Vitale, a Woodbridge Democrat and chairman of the committee, as he cast the final vote. But in the end, I think it is a matter of public health and safety, so I will be voting in the affirmative. Now, this is a question that I always ask, and I'm hoping that this question is answered at this upcoming debate on Sunday. If you have children, if you have two children, one child is vaccinated and one child is not. Let's say that my brother's child is vaccinated and my child is not. If my brother's child is vaccinated, how is it that my unvaccinated child can cause his child to get a disease or an illness or a virus, I should say? How? Because that child is vaccinated. Shouldn't the vaccine prevent the vaccinated child from getting the virus? Shouldn't it? Isn't that the purpose of it? So why is it that when children are unvaccinated, the parents of the children that are vaccinated are always complaining about that? Why? Your child's vaccinated, you should be good, right? Just asking. We'll see how they answer that at the we'll see how they answer that at the lecture. Let's see. Let's see. So moving down a little bit, it says the measure sponsored by Vitale and Senator Loretta Weinberg of Teaneck, New Jersey, would eliminate the religious exemptions to require vaccines and tighten the rules for issuing medical exemptions. So I know for a fact in the Israelite community, some of you brothers and sisters, depending on what camp you're in, you get, are able to get vaccination exemptions from some of the elders in your camps or what have you. A lot of states are tightening that loophole. They're going to make that. That's why, I hear some brothers talk about homeschooling children, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to be more important than ever as we move forward, although they're trying to do away with that too. We've seen the stories where women that are homeschooling their children have been arrested, but that's a whole nother video, right? See, there's real things going on in the world besides this BS that they're trying to pin on our community. So I want to get back to talking to these real things. It says nearly 14,000 children, 2.6% of New Jersey's school-age population currently have religious exemptions to vaccines for diseases like measles, mumps, whooping cough, chickenpox, and polio. That's more than 6 times what it was a decade ago. Why do you brothers and sisters think that it's more than 6 times the amount of people that have religious exemptions from vaccinations? Because people are becoming more educated about the dangers of these vaccines. So they're going out of their way to get exemptions. They don't want to put all that poison into their children's system. They don't want to do that. Public health officials say vaccines are necessary not only to prevent the person immunized from getting a disease, but to keep the disease from spreading and becoming a threat to those who can't be vaccinated for medical reasons such as cancer treatment or because they're too young. Officials say 93 to 95% of the population must be vaccinated to prevent the spread of measles, one of the most contagious diseases on Earth. All right. I think I'll read maybe one more paragraph. It says more than 400 opponents of the measure packed the hearing room hours before testimony was to begin, many with children until many had come in response to an alert from New Jersey Coalition for Vaccine Choice and wore black stickers with the words, "My God, my body, my right. Vote no." Dr. Alan Weller, president of the 1,700-member New Jersey chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics, testifies that vaccine safety is settled science. But I would say, to be quite honest with you, when we say that it's settled science, brothers and sisters, you can't just leave it at that. A lot of these vaccination companies, man, Big Pharma is involved with a lot of these so-called studies. Big Pharma, when I say pharma, I'm talking about the big pharmacies, the pharmaceutical industry, also is big lobbyists to Congress, both statewide as well as national wide. They give millions and millions of dollars to candidates, whatever, to push forward their agenda because they have an agenda. And let me tell you something, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to end this right here because you brothers and sisters can actually come and read this article for yourself. When you're dealing with science and also when you're dealing with archaeology, what I want you brothers and sisters to understand, and remember you heard it here first, right? A lot of the results that you get when you're dealing with scientific studies, as well as when you're dealing with archaeology, a lot of information that you receive really resonates or hangs on funding. There's a lot of archaeologists that would like to go and excavate certain things, but they simply cannot get the funding, which is why a lot of these scholars would say that, well, we haven't found this for the Bible, we haven't found that, because you're not allowed to excavate certain places. And certain archaeologists that don't go along with mainstream thought when it comes to archaeology, you're kind of like outside the box, whatever like that, you can't get the funding. All right. I did a whole presentation on that thing. And the same thing goes with a lot of this so-called settled science. All right. The studies that will be pro-vaccine, that will come back and yield the results that vaccines are safe for your children, those are the people that usually get the funding. Okay. And the ones that will come back and say, nah, they can't get the funding. It's not the same. Or they don't get the same amount of money. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. So I will say that this debate coming up this Sunday is going to be interesting at best, because this is not something that's dealing with religion or nothing like that. The lines of demarcation are clearly set for this debate. And what it is that on one side you have, I don't care if it's Moors, Israelites, Kemites, Christians, everything. They all united on one side saying we're not vaccinating our children. And then you have a dark section of the conscious community that calls themselves conscious, but we already exposed that they're not. They actually want you to go ahead and vaccinate your children because they believe in every scientific study that comes out, and they don't ask any questions. If big science and big pharma says it, it must be true. So that's it for me today, brothers and sisters. Just a quick video that just came to me. I said I'll go ahead and go live real quick and just share this with you, brothers and sisters. I know it's early. I ain't got a lot of y'all in the house, but for the ones of you that are in the house, make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure you share the video. Subscribe to Maccabees TV, of course, and we'll definitely be back this weekend with a lot of content, if it be the Most High's will. And I'm back at the top of the screen so you brothers and sisters can see the website and the name of the article. So if you want to go and read the rest of the article for yourself, you can, because this is definitely spreading, and it possibly is coming to your state. And somebody within the sound of my voice may have a child that has an exemption. And don't be so sure that that's going to always be the case. This is your brother, Priest Daniela, Alliance of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. I love y'all. Thank y'all for y'all support, as always. And once again, for the last time, if you haven't hit the like button, make sure you hit the like button. Show your brother some love. And big up to everybody that's watching this on Facebook as well. I've been simulcasting a lot lately, so I don't really see what's going on over there until I log into Facebook. And with that, I say, shalom, y'all.